So we are live now. Welcome, friends. Alcohol. That's what we are going to talk about, right? Last time it was love life, and this time it's alcohol.
Yeah.
So alcohol drives our spirits. If not for all, then many. Let's see how that happens. So today, I have my host with me, my co-host with me, Irene, and myself, as usual. We are going to take you through a journey of liver and alcohol. But before that, I just want to share something with you guys. So what I'm going to share now, just have a look. We all find excuses, even if, we love alcohol, many of us live, and even if the doctor advises that you should not drink. So here, this lady was told by the doctor that she should watch her drinking. And she went off to find a bar which has a mirror. So we all find excuses to do whatever we can, right? Now, next thing is coming up soon on your screen. Just a moment. Here I have another. Well, alcoholics, that's what we call people who are used to alcohol, they cannot live without it. There are better words also for an alcoholic. And I was just reading out yesterday and somebody told me professional drinkers is another thing which people look at, right? So it's not just about alcoholism. So when you drink alcohol, you're referred to as an alcoholic, but when you drink Fanta, nobody calls you fantastic. Right? So there are various views that we all have on various things pertaining to alcohol. Another thing coming up, guys, for you is now here. Okay. We all know that ignorance is a lot like alcohol. The more you have of it, the less you are able to see its effect on. And that's true. When people tell us, when doctors tell us alcohol is bad for you, your parents tell us alcohol is bad for you, not necessarily that we would always follow that, but yes, sometimes we do. But here comes something which is more interesting, and I'm sure you all would be able to appreciate it. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Now, we all wish that we can shut up our liver, but we cannot, because liver diseases are pretty related to what happens when we drink alcohol. Liver diseases have a relationship with alcohol, which cannot be omitted. So having said so, I'll come back to the session. So our today's medical expert is Dr. Hardik Kotecha, who is a gastroenterologist, a liver expert by profession, a very humble and generous human being on a personal level. So he will tell us how humble is our liver when it comes to accepting alcohol. So I won't bore you anymore with my commentary, and I would pass on to Irene. Irene, please take the session ahead, and I'll join you later.
Good afternoon. And for those who are seeing, I'm sure you can see there's a very nice bottle right behind me there. Yeah, just to say that today we want to discuss this thing. And just in case you didn't know, Himanshu and Dr. Hardik, in Kenya, when we're using our slang language, we call alcohol zinga or tei or kamnywe. So it has all sorts of names, just to give it a light touch. Welcome everybody. My name is Irene, as Himanshu said, and my role is really to guide patients in Africa to be able to access our healthcare services with the very least possible stress and to save them time. And I'm here to welcome Dr. Hardik, and he can just tell us a bit about himself and then we can go on.
Yeah, so what to tell about my own self? So I'm a gastroenterologist. I have done my studies as an MBBS physician. I became an MD medicine. Then I was working as a physician in a hospital for 2 years. Then I went ahead and did my fellowship in gastroenterology from Delhi. And afterwards, I did a 1 year fellowship in liver transplantation and was working in Delhi, Vedanta for another couple of years. And since 2015, when Zydus Hospital Ahmedabad started, I have joined here, and it is now more than 5 years since I am attached to this hospital, working as a gastroenterologist.
Okay. Thank you very much, Daktari. Daktari is also a Swahili word. I'm sure there's a lot of Swahili moving around in the hospital now.
He knows.
So,
he has
Dr.
treated a lot of people from East Africa, lots of them.
I know.
In fact, in the gastroenterology department, he is the man to have treated the maximum number of patients from that part of the world.
Yeah, I can almost imagine. So, Dr. Hardik, please let us, tell us what do we need to understand about the liver in terms of facts, and what is the essential function of the liver in our body?
Yeah, so see, for laymen, many people understand the importance of heart, the importance of brain, or the importance of lungs in our body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does heart do? Basically, it is a pump. Okay, it takes in all the impure blood from various parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to the then it pumps the blood to the lungs, where the blood becomes oxygenated and it is pushed back into the system. Similarly, the lungs, they help in removing carbon dioxide and taking oxygen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if we compare our body to a home, okay, so the normal liver is like the kitchen of that home. Okay, so if in your bedroom you don't have a bed, you can sleep on the floor. If you don't have a dining table in your house, you can eat on the floor. Okay, but you can't do without the kitchen. Correct? So whatever food we eat, the liver is the largest organ which we have in our body. In a normal adult, it weighs around 1.5 kilograms, and it is situated in the right upper part of our abdomen, just below the right lung. Okay. Now, all the blood which goes to the intestines, the stomach, the pancreas, the spleen, that blood which is containing all the nutrients which are absorbed, goes directly through the portal vein into the liver. So as such, liver does many complicated functions. If you start listing them, it will be around 400 or 500 odd functions which it does. Okay, but there are few important things which we need to understand. So all the blood which is contained now, along with food or whatever we eat or drink, we are bound to take in certain poisonous substances. Okay, all this is first handled by our liver. So it acts as a barrier between the digestive system, which is exposed to the external environment, and our body. So most of these poisonous substances, initially when they come to the liver, somehow by some magic, the liver is able to detoxify it and remove it from the system. So this is one barrier function which is very important. Another thing is whatever nutrients we are absorbing, right? Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, all the vitamins and minerals. Okay, so most of these nutrients, their homeostasis within our body is controlled by liver. Imagine brain. Now brain requires a continuous supply of sugar, glucose, to maintain its normal functions. Okay. Now we eat food only 2 or 3 times or maximum 4 times in a day. So when we eat food, we absorb a lot of sugar, but then that sugar doesn't stay in the blood all throughout. Okay. So whenever the sugar content is extra, it is stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. Okay. And with the help of hormones like insulin or glucagon, which keep on monitoring the blood sugar level, the moment the sugar level goes down, the liver senses it and breaks down the glycogen and again supplies sugar to the blood so that the blood sugar levels are maintained. Okay. Now, all the fat metabolism, the good fat, HDL cholesterol, or the bad fat, which is LDL cholesterol or triglycerides, all these fats are ultimately governed by the liver. There are a lot of proteins which are required for our immunity. We have our immune system, right? The soldiers of our body which help us fight infection, correct?
Yeah.
They form immunoglobulins, which are like the weapons of the soldiers. Okay? The raw material for these weapons is actually made by the liver. So liver plays a very important role in our immunity also. Okay?
It does.
And most of the drugs which we eat, medicines, like I said, the poisonous substances. So most of the drugs are initially exposed to the liver. So liver plays a major role in drug metabolism. Okay. So certain drugs act differently if somebody's liver is not working properly. So that is another important role the liver plays. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So in light of all that, how do we then get to know whether our liver is diseased or not? Because they say that, the liver is amongst the very few organs that you can rarely tell when it is under distress. So at what point do you get to understand, okay, my liver is not well? And, is it true that you never really know when your liver is not functioning well?
Yeah. So this is very important. Okay. Out of all the organs which we have in our body, two things are very peculiar about our liver. The first thing is it has got a very high reserve capacity. Okay. So supposing you are going on a journey from point A to point B in a car which is just having a 1000cc engine, and you have 4 people in the car. If you are going on a flat road, you will be able to travel with the small engine very easily. But if you have 6 people and you are supposed to climb a hill, then you will require a powerful engine.
Yeah.
And a slightly bigger car which has got more features of protection, correct? Similarly, if you see liver has got lots of reserve capacity. So much so that if 90% of a normal liver is damaged, okay, and only 10 or 15 or 20% is working, then also the person may not have any symptom. He may be totally asymptomatic. Okay, he may not have any symptom or any problem directly because of his liver disease. So majority of chronic liver diseases, they remain asymptomatic till the time a large amount of liver is already damaged. Okay. So it is very important for common men to know that when you are at risk of suffering from liver disease, you should get yourself tested or screened to find out them earlier rather than take things for granted. Like Himanshu just said, right? Ignorance is bliss. So it is very important to get yourself tested if you feel that you are at risk of having some or the other liver disease. Because when the symptoms will start, it will be probably too late.
Yeah.
The another important thing which our liver has is a remarkable capacity to regenerate. Okay. By it, what I mean to say is, supposing for any reason, by any accident, a patient gets her or his finger amputated. Okay. If the finger is cut, there is nowhere that the finger or toe or your hand or your feet will regenerate. Okay. You will have to wear prosthesis. But if a portion of the liver is removed from the body, okay, we all know what is a lizard. If you cut the tail of the lizard, it will again grow back to what it was previously, correct?
Yeah.
Similarly, if we remove a part of the liver, it can regenerate. It will again increase in the size and function in the same way what it was functioning previously if given adequate time and nutrition. So it has got a very good capacity to regenerate.
Yeah.
These
Well,
things are very important for us to understand.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, is that good news for someone who already has liver disease? That's one question that we probably will answer. But the question I want to know is, how is this, is family history something that, you know, plays a role in liver disease? Is it inherited?
Yeah. So as I said, the functions which the liver does are quite varied. Correct? Similarly, there are many diseases which are directly inherited. If I name a few, it would be Wilson's disease or hemochromatosis. Okay.
Yeah.
Then there are, so that their family history is very important. Other thing is, many diseases run in families though they are not infected, though they are not inherited. Okay. So there are certain chronic viral infections. Everybody knows about HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Similarly, there is chronic hepatitis B and chronic hepatitis C. These are two viral infections which, when somebody is affected, in the long run can damage the liver. Okay?
Yeah.
Over a period of few months to years to decades. Now, these infections are spread by blood-borne contact. Okay?
Yeah.
And they can be sexually transmitted. Okay? So if husband has the disease, the wife can get, and if the mother has, the children can get. Okay? So
Yeah.
in a way, if somebody in the family has hepatitis B or C, then the entire family needs to be screened, and they are all at risk of having this infection, which is higher than normal population. So that is another way of looking into it, that family is related to family and liver disease are related or not. The third thing is, nowadays we have a large increase in the number of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Okay. Our lifestyles have changed a lot. It is not the Western world alone, even in India or
In
Africa.
Africa. Yeah.
Many of us are living a sedentary lifestyle, and our exercise level has gone down.
Yeah.
So the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is increasing a lot. And like diabetes or blood pressure or high cholesterol or heart disease, these all have multiple risk factors, and one of them also has a genetic background. Plus, we see that those whose parents are obese, it is more likely that the children will also become obese.
Yeah.
So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease also runs in families. So there are many diseases which runs in family.
Yeah, there's a lot of relation in all these things. What I just want to say, I mean, you've said it, but I feel like I need to say it again. It's the issue of our diets, our lifestyles, and how it keeps affecting virtually every part of our bodies. And that just made me think, so if I have a sedentary lifestyle, I am not exercising, and I am drinking a lot of alcohol, that means that I am pretty much just laying out my liver for a lot of complications in further on in life, right?
Yes, yes. So high chances. So
High
alcohol,
chances.
we'll discuss further. But if we see somebody who is drinking, I am not saying how much amount, but if there is a person A who is drinking X amount of alcohol daily versus a person B who is also drinking X amount of alcohol. Now A is an active individual, his weight is normal, he exercises regularly, okay? Otherwise, apart from taking alcohol, he is having a healthy lifestyle, he eats good amount of nutrients, he takes ample amount of vegetables and fruits and ample amount of proteins. And most important factor, he is a happy person. Okay?
Yeah.
So then that person has got less likelihood of having liver disease because of alcohol. Versus the person B who is taking the same amount of alcohol but he's obese, or he has a sedentary lifestyle, or he already has got diabetes or dyslipidemia or hypertension. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are all risk factors which can make him more likely to suffer from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Yeah.
Or that person has got some other liver disease like hepatitis B or hepatitis C or any other chronic disease for that matter. Suppose that patient has a chronic renal failure. Okay.
Yeah.
Or that person is suffering from HIV/AIDS or any other chronic disease, then he will be definitely more likely to suffer from liver injury because of alcohol compared to person A. Right?
Okay, so that's good to know. So basically, we could all be in the ocean, but we are not in the same boat. The boats are different. Okay, so
I would just like to add one small thing here. Sorry for interruption. So this for all our viewers, as Dr. Hardik said, that happy person is less likely probably to be affected. That obviously doesn't mean that if you're happy, you can drink a lot. So I just thought we should just add that part.
No, that was not the message.
Yeah, that's something that we need to be careful about. Now that you've mentioned it, Himanshu, and I know also Dr. Hardik has mentioned it, how much is too much? Because we keep saying, excessive alcohol, too much alcohol, and what does it mean when we do take this alcohol and it's in excess, and what does it do to our digestive system and the liver in particular?
So Himanshu showed few slides, right? Like the lady is finding a mirror. Okay. So when we gastroenterologists, okay, we are all gastroenterologists and liver specialists. When we discuss this topic in our conferences and meetings, okay, how much is too much? So there is a joke, okay, that the person who is drinking more alcohol than me is an alcoholic. If he's not drinking as much as I am drinking, then he's not an alcoholic. Okay? But that is not the correct way of looking into it. So, most important thing is many things are relative. Okay?
Yeah.
As I gave an example of person A and person B.
Yeah.
Everybody will not be affected by the same amount of alcohol in the same way. We are all different people. Okay? So many times patients or there are people who will give examples like I have been drinking half a bottle of vodka all my life and you see my liver is absolutely fine, nothing has happened to it. But that should not be taken as an example for somebody else to drink. Okay? Because everybody will not suffer from the same amount of alcohol. This is very important for us to understand. Okay? And the other thing is that in Gujarati, where I am a Gujarati, right, there is a saying, ke jerna parkha na hoy, which means literally that if something is not good for you, if something is poisonous, you don't need to taste it and prove that this is poisonous. Correct?
Yeah, that's true.
So, now for alcohol and damage to our body, there are two important things which we need to understand. Alcohol is not going to affect only our liver. Okay? When we drink alcohol, it can cause multiple problems. It can damage our nerves. It can damage our heart. Okay? It can make our heart function also weak. It can make our nerves numb. We may not feel, so it is alcoholic neuropathy or cardiomyopathy. Patients who drink excessive amount of alcohol can suffer from pancreatitis, and it is very bad disease to have. They suffer a lot of pain because of pancreatitis and a lot of other complications. And for most of the other diseases, we exactly don't know how much is safe or how much is too much. Okay? Only when we talk about liver disease because of alcohol, there are certain set norms where it is said that for men, if a man takes up to 14 units of alcohol in a week, which is equal to 2 units per day, and for women, if they take up to 7 units of alcohol per week or 1 unit alcohol daily, it is considered safe in the long run and the person would be less likely to suffer from alcohol related liver issues. But this is only less likely. So the less likely has to be underlined, highlighted.
Yes, noted. Himanshu,
Irene, you were calculating. I can figure it out. You were calculating how much you are consuming.
Still, I am supposed to say something more here, that other diseases can happen to us even if we are consuming lesser amounts of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is 1 unit of alcohol? Okay, so 1 unit of alcohol is approximately equal to 30 ml of whiskey or vodka or rum, which contains around 40% alcohol, or it is approximately equal to 330 ml of beer or a glass of wine. So there is a common notion, especially Indians. If you tell them you are supposed to stop drinking, if they are drinking whiskey or rum or vodka, then they will stop it.
I think we just lost the contact with Dr. Hardik. I'm sure he's going to be back. In the meanwhile, friends, we also find excuses.
Hello?
He's back. You're done, sir?
Yeah, I think probably he still has.
I would just like to put it across that we all find excuses to have a pint of beer or an eloquent glass of wine without looking at what the underlying warning says. So with this, I would just go ahead with the session. Hardik sir, we lost you in between. So would you like to repeat anything before I proceed further?
Yeah, so what I was explaining is that 1 unit of alcohol is equal to 30 ml of vodka or whiskey or rum, which contains 40% alcohol. But beer contains, most of the beers contain around 5 to 8% alcohol. So 1 unit is equal to 330 ml of beer or a glass of wine. So these are all drinks which have alcohol. Okay. So in India, many times people say or people think that I have stopped alcohol, so I have stopped drinking whiskey, but I can still drink beer, which is not correct. Beer does contain alcohol, and it is also going to affect your liver the same way the alcohol from whiskey was going to affect you.
I think the same is there in Africa, not much different. Obviously, beer consumption, what I've seen in East Africa, I've never been to the West part, but it is phenomenal. It is absolutely.
Oh, it is, definitely.
So, Irene, I take it ahead from here, if you permit me.
Yeah, please proceed. Yes, I am done with my questions.
I'm sure we are going through a lot of internal thinking as to how much alcohol we are drinking, whether it's safe, whether it's not. Dr. Hardik has been amazing, giving exact measurements of how much you should drink. So that obviously, is getting us thinking. For the friends, those who have their share of fun with the spirits all this while, if they suddenly one day decide, Dr. Hardik, that, okay, I've had enough of my fun with the spirits, I've had enough of alcohol, and I feel that I'm not doing too well with my liver, and I just decide that I'm not going to drink anymore. So what happens to the toxins? Does your liver still, stays intoxicated, or there is any way out that the toxins can be flushed out?
Yeah. So as I said previously, right, liver has got amazing capacity to regenerate, and it has got a lot of reserve capacity. So it depends at what point in the disease graph. So initially, when somebody starts drinking, initially the person develops fatty liver. So because of alcohol, there will be increase in the fat accumulation in the liver. Okay. If the person keeps on drinking, the excess amount of alcohol will cause damage to the liver, and there will be swelling in the liver. So then it becomes alcoholic hepatitis or alcoholic steatohepatitis. So till the stage of fatty liver, if somebody is able to stop drinking, there are very, very high chances that if you stop drinking, if you take good amount of proteins in your diet and you take care of your body otherwise, the liver will become normal. Okay? Till the stage of alcoholic hepatitis also, if it has not crossed a certain limit where the swelling in the liver has increased so much that the liver starts failing, if it is identified before that point, before that critical point, and the person stops drinking, takes some medicines, takes care of the nutrition aspect, then also it can reverse. Once beyond the stage of alcoholic steatohepatitis, if the person starts developing fibrosis in the liver, which means that the liver is now having scar tissue because of chronic damage. So body is trying to regenerate, but the damage is continuously happening. So there will be formation of scar tissue, and as fibrosis progresses, there will be development of cirrhosis, which is considered end-stage liver disease. Okay. So once that stage comes, the chances of total reversal decreases. However, there are two things to understand here, that previously it was thought that once there is cirrhosis, it is irreversible. This was what we studied when I was doing medicine. But in last decade or so, we now know that if the insult, whether it is alcohol or hepatitis B or hepatitis C or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, if the insult is removed and proper medicines are taken, the cirrhosis can also reverse. The fibrosis may also reverse. It may not become totally normal, but the person will be able to sustain a normal life with that damaged liver, because it has got that magic to keep on working even with the lesser amount of liver tissue left in it. So it is never too late to stop drinking alcohol, and it would be best to identify the patients earlier when they are only having fatty liver, because at that time the chances of reversal are the best. Also, it depends on other diseases, like somebody is already obese, so alone stopping alcohol may not be sufficient. He will have to lose weight. If somebody is also suffering from hepatitis B or hepatitis C, then that part of the liver disease also needs to be addressed properly. So that is how it is.
Hence, you have the answer now to this. In case you wish to have your liver disease reversed, the timing is very important. How to assess what time is right is to get yourself tested on a regular basis, especially when you are an avid alcoholic freak, right? Anything you would like to say, Irene?
Yes, definitely. I always have something to say. The one thing that I have gotten from all this is, even if we don't take alcohol as, whatever the excess should be, or, we're just taking it in a leisurely way, at the end of the day, it's really about how you're taking care of yourself, basically, before you even talk about alcohol. And there's all these issues about nutrition, mental health, and happiness. And I think all this came out really distinctively around the COVID-19 pandemic, when everybody had to now go and sit at home. And then now the walls are closing in on people, and there was a lot of mental health issues. And I can almost imagine that alcoholism, or the amount of alcohol that people took, went really high. I'm not sure whether you got more patients coming to see you, but it just means that we have a lot of mental health issues that we are trying to hide behind the alcohol. So maybe that's where we should all start from. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Very much,
one more thing I would like to say. So currently what we are discussing is only alcohol and liver. But as you rightly said, there are a lot of mental health issues which are associated with alcohol use. Okay. And for somebody who is alcoholic, leave apart what happens to the liver, there are a lot of other factors. There are a lot of other things which happen bad because of an alcoholic in his society, with his family members, or at his workplace. So there are a lot of other things which can also go wrong, which are not discussed in our current forum. But alcohol has got other negative aspects also.
Very true, Dr. Hardik. We'll definitely maybe plan another session on looking at the social aspects of over alcoholism, or when people are used to too much of alcohol, which they cannot really leave, when it becomes more of a habit than just once in a while occasional drinking. Thank you very much. So I would now come directly to something which is concerning a lot of my East African friends. We all love nyama choma back home, right?
Yay.
And
yes.
fries and burgers, a lot of junk, and especially, you know, the takeaways were always on even during the peak of the pandemic. So people were like, you stop your car, get something packed, come home and enjoy your dinner. So I want to also understand from you, Dr. Hardik, that how does fatty liver impact, and what is fatty liver disease? Is there a way that it can be reversed? If there's a person who's not alcoholic, but is into a lot of junk eating, random eating, and has developed fatty liver, is there a way to reverse that?
Yeah, so definitely, as I said initially, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a big problem, and it is hitting our world in a big way. If we see, it is going to become the leading cause of liver-related problems for the entire world, because most of us have switched to sedentary lifestyle. We have started eating a lot of junk food, a lot of processed foods. We are not exercising regularly. So if we see the prevalence, around 10 to 20% of individuals are suffering from fatty liver. So amongst all common men, if we identify 10 people and you do an ultrasound, 1 or 2 of them will be suffering from fatty liver disease. So the prevalence is very, very high. Okay. And even so, all fatty livers don't create problem. Okay. All fatty livers do not progress to the stage of cirrhosis. But just because of the very high prevalence, the burden of disease is going to be very high. The morbidity, mortality, and cost of treatment of all these patients is going to be very high on the healthcare facilities. So eating a healthy diet, doing exercises regularly, eating lots of vegetables, fruits, and good amount of protein is very important. It is not that all the junk food is bad, but we need to find a balance somewhere. That if somebody is eating junk food daily, maybe he can start cutting it down to once a week or once a fortnight, and positively try to exercise. So exercise may not be just for the physical well-being, but if we exercise regularly, our body produces endorphins, and it itself gives a euphoric kick to ourselves like alcohol. Okay, so there are many other things which we need to look into seriously, because non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is increasing a lot. And up till now, okay, we have got many drugs for treatment of NAFLD, but the only thing which is proven is exercise and weight loss. The way it works, nothing else works for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And there is no other way for it. So if somebody has hepatitis B or hepatitis C, it is easy for us doctors to treat it. But when it comes to alcoholic liver disease or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it is difficult to treat, because the onus of cure, onus of getting better is more on the patient or the family members rather than the doctor alone. We can only advise, we can counsel them, we can give them psychological help, but the patient and the family has to understand that it is exercise, dietary restriction, lifestyle modification, or stopping alcohol which is ultimately going to help the person more.
Thanks. So now a lot depends on us. It is not just about medicines. You go to a doctor, you fall ill, your liver isn't working, he gives you some medication that does magic. It is not going to happen. The magic lies within our own self to make sure that we can bring about a change. Now, coming to the last question of today's session, is something which we all are concerned about, and it is more prominent in the developing world, like what is there in India and Africa. A lot of our friends who have come across a situation where they have been hospitalized or have undergone some kind of an injection treatment or have been given some pills and have complained of liver toxicity, which is very common. Apparently, it is detected at a very late point in time. Now, I would like to understand, does it really happen, first of all, Dr. Hardik? And if it happens, what should be done? Briefly.
Yeah, so initially when I was telling about the functions of liver, so most of the things which we eat orally, they initially first go to the liver and get processed. So liver can get affected with many drugs. Okay, so there are many drugs, especially most important thing to remember is drugs which are used in the treatment of tuberculosis. Okay, so these anti-tubercular drugs have got significant liver toxicity. Similarly, there are a lot of over-the-counter medicines available, especially alternative medicines like Chinese herbal medicines or Ayurvedic medicines, where the patient goes over the counter and buys and start taking it. Now, some of these drugs do contain heavy metals, and there is a traditional belief that if we take alternative medicines, they don't have a side effect. However, there is no coin with just one side. So whenever there is an effect, there is bound to be some form of side effect. Most of the time, whether it is a allopathic practitioner or a homeopathic doctor or an Ayurvedic doctor or a Chinese medicine specialist, they give the medicine to the patient for the effect and they understand the side effects, so they monitor for it. But if these things are taken without any monitoring, without even knowing actually whether they are helpful or not, nobody will come to know when side effects happen. And we see many patients who have been on such medicines on their own, and they come to us when there is significant liver damage, and sometimes it is liver failure where we even need to go ahead and do a liver transplant on them. Now, if somebody is taking alcohol, okay, alcohol itself is an enzyme inducer. So I would not go into the technical details of this thing. But when somebody is taking alcohol or somebody is suffering from other liver diseases like hepatitis B or C, then they are more prone to suffer side effects of drugs on their liver, because that liver is already having a problem in situ and we are adding to that stress. So it is not only important to stop alcohol, but there are certain medicines, if they are taken with alcohol, you are more likely to develop side effects. And
wow, that was enlightening. Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Hardik.
And we need to tell the doctor if you are suffering from hepatitis B or hepatitis C, because otherwise the doctor will never come to know. So telling the right history to the doctor is also very important.
Very true. I was just going to finish my talk with that. How important is history when you visit your doctor, especially when you are going to take medicines, or you have to tell that which are the medications that you've earlier consumed, or if you've had any side effects of the medication that you've consumed. Most of the time these days, nothing against doctors, but we as medical fraternity experts also need to understand that history is more important. Looking at the reports of the patients do not make as much a difference as history would. So we are treating the patient, not the report. That's why, please, I request all the viewers who are from the medical fraternity to insist on taking a proper history. So friends, we come
to an end. Can I say something? So I like that you brought up the issue of history, and the healthcare givers really emphasizing and taking time to take the history and not look at the reports so much. From this side of town, I would also want to emphasize on the patients giving all the history. So what we have currently is just a bit of, I don't want to call it lies or keeping information, but then it's just that a patient will show up and not give all the history, therefore not helping the situation at all. And then also now we have a lot of hopping from one doctor to the next, trying to find a different opinion. But every time you go, you're not going with all the information you went with from the other doctor or the medication they wrote, and all that adds up. So as much as the doctors need to take history, the patients need to be able to give that history and have all their documentation together.
Yeah, it is very, very important.
Absolutely
correct. It is very, very important to know everything in detail, both for the patient and the doctor.
Yeah.
till the time we don't know each other properly, something can go wrong anytime in the near future or late future. We don't know.
So friends, another session that we are coming to an end of. Well, to end it, I would put it across that whether we care for statistics or not, alcohol-related liver diseases are responsible for over 3 million annual deaths globally, which is almost like a pandemic, whether we believe it, whether we don't, whether we ignore it, but it is there. So, and apparently as human beings, nature of human beings across the world, whether it's India, whether it's Kenya, whether it's Tanzania, whether it's America, whatever, remains the same. So we probably learn when we suffer, but it may be too late to learn when you are suffering. So take your liver health in your hands, be polite, be kind to your liver and yourself. So that's the only way that you can keep walking. I use the word keep walking. You can understand why. So friends, it's a pleasure that you all have been joining us. Your suggestions have been keeping us going on a roll. Irene has been doing a fantastic work, reaching out to people in Africa and making them more informed.
Thank you.
These efforts of ours will continue to go on. Your suggestions, your questions are most welcome. Please feel free to write to us with your questions. And for those who have missed this session, don't mind. We have everything available recorded for you on the Facebook channels, which we are going to share with you in the comment section. Well, friends, it's just not the end. Next Saturday, we'll be back with another very interesting topic. And we're going to talk about forgetfulness. We all forget, but it can sometimes be deadly. So please join us back. Thank you, Dr. Hardik. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Take care.
All right.